kept saying, now read it when I'm over here. And I kept hearing it, and read it in a high voice, read it slowly. Oh, and that decided me. That's what I want to do. I know that's what I want to do. I just was so happy. And then, the years I sang in Ireland and in England, Scotland, Wales, and the next thing I got married. And that's a whole other, wait till I tell you, for God's sake. So now we're going to America, and my husband Bill wants to go and open ballrooms. He did too, for all the immigrants in the 50s. And the thing was, I didn't mind. I was happy to go to America. And I didn't mind if I didn't sing in America. I wasn't one for fame or glory. I enjoyed life. And I liked to sing. I was happy singing in the kitchen. But it happened that I had to go on first because of passports or papers. I had to go by myself to America. And I was to stay with people, friends of my husband, Bill, friends of his. And they were called Gormans. Bill Gorman and Joan Gorman, and they lived in New York, but they had come from Dublin. So I felt, oh, that'll be all right. And so my sister, I said to Beth, what should I bring them? Let's see. Now there's the lovely Waterford glass, there's the gorgeous Carrickmacross lace, there's all the lovely things we have in Ireland. And Beth said, you know what? They're from Dublin, right? Right. Bet you they'd give anything for a nice bit of pig's cheek and cabbage. And I said, you know, you're right. Yes. Yes, I did this. I did it. And we went down to Henry Street, Hafner's, and we bought, to get the pig's cheek. Stay with me. To get the pig's cheek, you had to buy a pig's head. I did this. I did other things you wouldn't believe either. So, he wrapped it in brown, loads of brown paper, so there it was in the middle of my case with 3 bottles of Irish whiskey around it. And I was set for America. And we arrived at the airport. It was Idlewild. And the customs man said, anything to declare? And I said, no. And he said, open the case. I opened the case. He saw the big brown, he said, what's that? Oh, I said, that's just a pig's head. And he said, a what? I said, a pig's head. He said, what? Open it. So I opened up the paper, and there the pig's head looks up at him. One blue eye. And he said, you can't bring that in here. I said, I'm after bringing it 3,000 miles. He said, what are you going to do with it? I think he had some weird thing. I said, you boil it. And you put in a head of cabbage. And you peel in a few spuds. It's heaven. He said, oh my God. Hey, Joe! Hey, Ed! He called all the customs men, came over, everything stopped. And they said, get a load of them. Gee, yeah, but what? And they talked for a while. And then he said, go ahead, you can take it. He didn't want it under his counter. So then I meet the Gormans, and they're lovely people, and we go to their house, and I said to them, I have a present for you. And they said, oh, you shouldn't have. And they said it many times. You shouldn't have. Well, when they saw the pig's head, they were in America 40 years. They went into their bedroom and fell around the room laughing. And I never saw the pig's head after. And I never asked about it. I just said, let it be. And then I looked out the window from the room I was in, and the Gormans lived on Broadway. And I said, oh, Mr. Gorman, do you think we could go and see the theatres? We're on Broadway, this is great. He said, oh, honey, this is 145th Street. That's where we lived. He said, this is 145th Street. The theatres are way, way far. Oh, but I said, couldn't we go, just go tonight and see them? I've seen them in the movies. All those theatres, all those lights. Couldn't we go? And I begged him, and he said, okay. So off we went down to the theatres, and I saw the theatres, and they were gorgeous, and I was thrilled. I was thrilled. And then he took me, poor old Bill Gorman was fed up, he took me into a pub. There near Radio City is called Connie Hurley's. And he introduced me to Connie. He said, Connie, this is Carmel Quinn. She's just over from Ireland tonight. Ara Carmel, you're welcome. And he gave me a great welcome. And Bill Gorman says, Carmel does a bit of singing, you know, Connie. And Connie said, you do? Well, I'll tell you now, pet. You see up there, and up on his shelf, he had a television set. He said, well, up there, now see that show? That's the show for you. It's called the Arthur Godfrey Talent Scouts. Would you believe it? My first night in America. Now, isn't that strange? So it didn't mean a thing to me, you know. I had never heard of him. I never heard of the show. See, we'd no television when I left. So I knew movie star names, but wait. For an audition, 6 months. God, I said, 6 months? Sure, we might be all dead in 6 months. She said, I hope not. And we began to chat, and she was awfully nice, and she said, hold on for a second. She went in the back. She comes out in 5 minutes. She said, they'd like to hear you now. Same thing. Again, I often think, if I knew then, all those years, what I know now, I would never have ventured all the things I ventured. I'd have gone the right route and never done anything. But anyway, I goes into this room and there's a pianist, and she said, your music, please. And well, I said, I don't have any music, but I thought we'd chat. Nobody was going to chat. So they just, a big panel, glass panel, and inside about 6 people. And they said, well, just sing something for us, dear. So I said, my feet are here on Broadway, this blessed harvest morn. And it's oh the longing in them for the spot where I was born. My weary hands are blistered from toil and cold and heat, and it's oh to swing a scythe again through fields of Irish wheat. Had I my choice to journey back or own a king's abode, I'd rather see the hawthorn tree down the old bog road. And then I'd sing another one, and they'd say anything else, and I'd sing another one, and then I'd sing a Gaelic song. Shine high revo, huravo, hugavo he, shulagavo, nubberlock, myrick memcree, risholam mochason, ma highlock bilcree, creek new he, harmalegum, shoot howler and osmar of Austin got crave, a mahonin biog even the galuleh, and I'd do all the. Then I'd look in and they'd have their heads in their hands, as much as say, God, if she'd only go. And then I thought, I know, they want an American song. So I said, what is this thing called love? This funny thing. And they said, no, no, no. We hear that all day, dear, another Irish song and another Irish song. Then out comes a man and he says to me, we're going to put you on Monday. Believe it? I couldn't believe it. And this man was very sweet. His name was Jack Carney. Turned out to be Art Carney's brother. And he said to me, now when you come Monday, it's Monday night at 8 o'clock. And when you come, wear something just plain. And he said, eat very lightly. And I said, all right. I wore a plain shirt dress, but I didn't eat lightly. I had a huge dinner. We always believed, have a good dinner before you face anything. So I had a huge, and I came in, and there were 3 contestants. There was a rock and roll group who had had a big hit record, but their manager wanted them to have, you know, exposure. See, I didn't know it was such a big show. I had no idea. I thought it was a little local show that went as far as Newark. And I never heard of Arthur Godfrey in my life. And so I didn't, and then there was a lovely girl on playing piano, rock and roll group, pianist, and myself. And before we went on, the rock group said to me, pointing out to the stage, it's cold turkey out there. And I never heard that expression. And I thought, isn't that nice? They make sandwiches out there. So now the rock band go on and they're terrific. And then the girl goes on and she's terrific. And then I come on. I've still got my bad walk. And I come on and I just sing. The Garden of Eden has vanished, they say. But I know the lie of it still. Just turn to your left at the bridge of Finney and keep right on to Cootill. 'Tis there I will find it, I know sure enough, when fortune has come to my call. For the grass, it grows green around Ballyjamestown, and the blue sky is over it all. And tones that are tender and tones that are gruff come whispering over the sea. Now come back, Paddy Riley, to Ballyjamestown. Come home, Paddy Riley, to me. My mother once told me that when I was born, the first day I ever saw the light, I looked down the street on that very first morn, and I gave a great crow of delight. Now most newborn babies appear in a huff and start with a terrible squawk. But I knew I was born in a Ballyjamestown, and sure that's why I smiled at them all. Well, the baby's a man now, he's toil worn and tough, but whispers come over the sea. Come back, Paddy Riley, to Ballyjamestown. Come home, Paddy Riley, to me. Song, and off I came, and then the way the show was run, somebody the group had to go on first, and they do a little reprise, and there was a sort of a meter. There was a meter that went from like 10 to 100, and they came out and they were terrific, and like it went off over to about 80, and then the girl came on, the pianist, and she was wonderful. Went on over 80, and then he said, and now the girl from Dublin, Ireland, and I came out, and I couldn't hear the music. I couldn't hear my note. The applause was deafening. The whistling and cheering. And I was overwhelmed. I was so happy. But I couldn't believe, I didn't know anybody there. And all these people, all this love, I was so happy. But at the same time, I was so lonely. I was so lonely. Because, you know, no one I knew was there. And I was thinking of the Daisy, and Kevin and Nash and Bets and Aunt Julie and all the old crowd. I was thinking, God, if they were only there. And I just walked off. I was crying, and I walked off. And Arthur Godfrey was over at a desk, and he said, come on over here. And I couldn't. I was here crying. And Jack Harney said, you have to go out. And I said, I'm not going out. And I didn't. I didn't go out. And Arthur said, you'll see her tomorrow morning. And the next morning, I was on the panel. And then I realized this was a big show. My Lord, I was besieged with hairdressers and makeup people. And you know, they said, she's wonderful, I love how she looks, she's so sweet, let's change her. And they were painting me and plucking me and taking my eyebrows and giving me question marks on it. And they were teasing my hair to here and cementing it. And I was saying, God, just to sing, come back, Paddy Riley, just Paddy, stop. It's a bit much. And I was worn out. And so, but we got on well, Arthur Godfrey and I. See, I never thought he was a big star. We didn't go in for people being a big star. People were all the same to me, to all of us. The elevator man and the doorman at CBS were my pals. They'd tell me what studio we were in, what's going on. But I didn't know anything about big stars. And you know, Arthur reminded me of my father, red hair, blue eyes. So, you know, we got on well in that he would tell a joke. And everyone would laugh. The cast would laugh, the band would laugh, the audience would laugh, and I'd be... And he'd say, Miss Quinn, you don't think that was funny? Well, to tell you the truth, I'd say I've heard better. And then he'd be going on about he met this lovely blonde. Oh God, I met this gorgeous blonde. You should see this blonde. Everyone is saying, and I'm looking at him. And he said, Miss Quinn, you don't approve. I said it's all the same to me, but I think at your age you should have your mind on your prayers. So we had it every day. We had something back and forth, and of course it was live and totally unrehearsed, and that was it. But he said to me on the third morning, you got 3 mornings on the show. That was the prize and a fee. So third morning he said, well, Carmel, would you like to stay with us? And I really and truly, my answer, he often brought it up to me after, because I said, oh God, I'd have to think about it. Because I didn't know whether I wanted this constant, every day, in there, and makeup. And I enjoyed it, but I like to do other things. So he said to me, we'll do it the way you want it. Well, I said, I hate coming in like at 7:30 in the morning for a 10 o'clock show to rehearse a song and singing since I was 7. He said, you're right. Come in at 9. And if you don't want makeup and hair, leave it. And we had a great time. But he said to me, he said, you know, I wish I could fly you back to Ireland after the show every day and pick you up the following morning. And I said, why? He said, because I hate to think you'll change. I said, I won't change, not with my upbringing. He said, oh, Carmel, you don't know what a bit of fame and extra money and all that does to people. I've seen it, he said. Now, I said, you don't know our house. Nobody had a big head in our house. No one ever thought of it. You never got praise in our house, ever. And you didn't mind. You got used to never being praised. You weren't hurt by it. Bring home a great report card, my father would say, yeah, God, you could do better though. That was it. No one and we couldn't take compliments. Very hard to take compliments. Even when people would praise a little baby, they'd say, it's a lovely child. Oh, God bless it. Immediately everyone would have to rush in with God bless it in case something happened. And, you know, a man saying to his young wife, oh, sweetheart, you look lovely tonight. She'd say, shut up. That's how we took compliments. Shut up. It meant I'm delighted, but I can't say it. And so, you know, that's the way we were. So I said to him, I'll never change. And I stayed on that show for 6 years and had a great time. And from that show came everything else, from that one night. Next thing, I'm in Carnegie Hall. Can you imagine? You can't imagine. I'm standing in Carnegie Hall. I'm looking out at a packed house and the boxes full, the whole place. And it's unbelievable. And it's beautiful. And I thank God. And then we brought over, for the first concert, you talk about getting a swelled head, we brought over a wonderful fiddle player from Kerry. Oh, a marvellous, a gifted man. And he did great in rehearsal. Super. But between rehearsal and the show,